wondering if you could say and spell your first and last name.
Patrick Brady, Patrick
Perfect. And your title.
I'm a retired Army Major General.
Fantastic. Okay, so I guess let's just kind of start at the beginning. If you just could kind of walk me through basically how you got into the military. What was your path that led you to the military?
To the military.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this place too, right? Fort
yes.
Chadbourne, yeah. Well, I came out of a all-boys Catholic high school, and I had a scholarship to go play football at several universities. At the time, I was stalking this foxy chick who went to an all-girls Catholic high school. But she was going to college, university that did not have a football team. So I'm stuck in kind of a dilemma. What do? Let her get away? What? Football? And so I chose the foxy chick. And after I got to the university, ROTC was mandatory. I didn't know that. And I had to take 2 years mandatory ROTC, and I didn't do well, didn't like it, and then came back later and finished that. She encouraged me to finish. We got married in the meantime, so I got even with her, and then she encouraged me to finish ROTC and go in. In those days, it was mandatory. You had to serve. You either got drafted, or you went through and got a commission. And since I made more money with the commission, that's the way I went. And so it was because of the foxy chick she started my career.
That is amazing. So I guess now let's just talk about, you know, going through, because you joined the Army.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of walk me through the day you got there, through boot camp and everything.
Well, I got, after I was commissioned, I came to Texas for basic. And my first duty assignment was Berlin, Germany. And I was, it was a 3-year tour. I had applied for flight school before I went, but I didn't get it. And so I went to Berlin, Germany, and as a second lieutenant, and was able to bring my wife and children with me. While I was in Berlin, they built the wall. We woke up one Sunday morning, and there's a wall across the city, barbed wire across the city. And it kind of opened my eyes to this thing called communism. And before that, just a dumb college kid, did not know much about anything in the world, but there it was. And we had a babysitter and a maid, if you can believe that, as a second lieutenant. And the babysitter was engaged. Her fiance lived in the East, and she never saw him again. The maid, her parents lived in the East, and she was not allowed to go to their funeral. Before the wall, everybody could go back and forth to the 4 sectors of Berlin: French sector, English, British, American, and Russian. And the city was open, and after the wall, they closed it. So the people in the East were locked in. Usually build a wall to keep people out. But anyhow, the point is that they were shooting their own people off the wall, and I was a medical platoon leader, and I had to clean up the mess. My guys did. And so I got to looking at, my God, what is this thing called communism? This is really a horrible thing. And in the meantime, I was serving with some really outstanding people. Norm Schwarzkopf, you probably heard of him, General Schwarzkopf, Barry McCaffrey, both of them 4-star generals later on in the war in the desert. And then my commander was a guy named Fred Wyan, who later became Chief of Staff of the Army. And the other beautiful thing about it was when we arrived, they met us at the train, took us to this apartment, and there was food in the refrigerator. And the commander, I'm a crummy second lieutenant, and the commander from the battle group, his wife immediately came to greet and meet my wife, who was pregnant. And so I thought, golly, these military people aren't what I thought they were. They're pretty neat guys. And so one thing led to another, one assignment led to another. They sent me to flight school. I went to Vietnam a couple times. And before I knew it, I was in for 35 years.
Wow.
Don't regret a minute. I guarantee I didn't want nothing to do with it to begin with. But after 35 years, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
That is amazing. I'm just gonna put this up right in here. And then so next. So next, let's just kind of start at Vietnam, and let's kind of go through, you know, your actions in receiving the Medal of Honor.
Okay. Are we working?
We are.
Yeah, as I said, that in Vietnam was just starting, and I went to flight school, and when I came out of flight school, I volunteered to go to Vietnam. It gave me an opportunity to practice the skills with the helicopter and the medical stuff that I went through here at Fort Sam. And so I volunteered to go to Vietnam, and had probably the best job I ever had before or after. Our job every single day was just to save lives. And we had an incredible commander, a guy named Charles Kelly. And by the way, I just came back from Vietnam just a few days ago, where we were able to dedicate a memorial to Charles Kelly. He was the guy that set the resources, the medical resources of the Americans, which were supposed to be just for Americans. He devised a system where we would use our helicopters to evacuate the enemy as well as the friendly, and men, women, and children in that country. Humanitarian effort that's probably never happened before in the history of warfare. Mostly we just blow things up. But in Vietnam, they started to take care of the people there and build hospitals for them there. And the guy that kind of spearheaded the whole thing was this guy named Charles Kelly. And so we were able to go back to Vietnam a couple weeks ago and put a memorial to him there. It may be the only memorial in Vietnam to an American. Everything else that America did there was destroyed and taken out. And now they have one thing there. And by the way, we got something here that's probably first place in America that they're putting up Confederate statues rather than tearing them down. So I've got to see two unique memorials in the last couple of weeks.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So when, I guess, if you don't mind, could we go through, you know, how you earned the Medal of Honor and then when you received it?
You know, the whole thing about medals, here's the great thing about a medal. Very difficult to differentiate one from another, but the great thing about it is that somebody saw what you did, they appreciated it, and they took the time to write it up. Now the action for the day of the Medal of Honor was a little different because we had to figure out a way to fly in weather. And I found a way to do that. Mostly just the good Lord showed me the way to do it, and the way it all happened. And this was the basis of the medal. I got a call one day for a young soldier who was snake bit on a mountain. The mountain was under clouds all the way down, halfway down the mountain, but there was a clearing underneath it. And so we went in, tried to get up to the guy, and went, you know, if you don't have instruments, and you can't have, if you got to have reference points, or you don't know whether you're upside down or right side up. And so we kept trying, and crew was getting nervous and everything, and then one more time, guys, they're screaming at me, he's going into convulsions. And so one more time. So back we went up into that stuff, and you can't see only so many feet. The wind blew me sideways, and I was looking out my window, and that wind was the breath of God. I could see the rotor tip, and I could see the top of the trees. Guess what? I knew I was right side up. So I turned that sucker sideways, powerful H-mounted Huey, and went up and got that guy, and we got him to the hospital, and I think he lived. So that technique that I used accidentally that day was the technique that I used on the day we got the medal, that I got the Medal of Honor. They had not seen it done before, and so it was, somebody saw it, they appreciated it, they wrote it up, but me and my guys did the other part of it, getting shot at. We used 3 aircraft, was a pretty common occurrence. In a 9.5-month period, the unit I was in, with 40 men, 6 helicopters. Any one time we would have 3 helicopters flyable. We had an aircraft shot up every 4 or 5 days, and you got, of course, mechanical problems. And in a 9.5-month period, those 40 men carried over 21,000 patients. 26 Purple Hearts. That's how many of the guys were wounded in it, but nobody was killed. And extraordinarily effective system. But they were doing the same thing I did in the metal, except for the weather part of it. And that kind of made it stand out. And that is the whole basis for the medal.
That is fantastic. I mean, so fast forward to now, did you ever imagine that you would be here, that you would be speaking, that your uniform would be right there?
Well, we're often asked, Medal of Honor recipients, why'd you do what you did? And the truth of it, we did it for people like the Richards, the people who built this, people like Ann Pate, people who are great American patriots and who make it all worthwhile. And so if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for the patriots and everything, that's what moves us. When we see patriotic Americans and all the good things that they're doing for our veterans, that motivates us to keep on. We go to schools and talk to people across America about the symbolism of the medal, which is courage, sacrifice, and patriotism. Those are the 3 pillars of American excellence, and we want to instill those things in the kids. The medal doesn't make us special, but the one good thing about it is it allows us to do special things, for sure.
That's amazing. So when it comes to when you speak and when you present, what is really the one thing that you want people to take away from you and your story?
Well, heroism, it may be interesting, but it has no meaning unless it's also inspirational. So the idea of guys like me is that we want young people to understand that there's only one way in which we're all born equal. Certainly not in terms of ability, certainly not in terms of opportunity. And what is it? Matters of courage. You can have all the courage you want. Can't use it up, and it's the key to success in life. So if a young person realizes that he may not be the fastest, smartest guy in the world, but if he is courageous in the things and decisions he makes, fear, an emotion, courage, a decision. A life well lived is a life of good decisions. So the young man will realize then that if he's a failure or whatever, it's a matter of choice, not chance. He made those choices, and he can be as successful as he has the courage to be. And God's going to give him all the courage he wants. So that's one of the things we want to teach him. And then we're going to talk about that tonight, too.
That's amazing. So when it comes to your fellow Vietnam veterans, is there a message that you want to share with them specifically?
No, we all pretty much do the same thing. We go to the schools across America and speak to young people, and and we also go to veterans hospitals and spend time with veterans. We have a veterans outreach program, and we focus on the needs of veterans, and we try to help them as much as we can. And we take care of each other. Most of the recipients are not in good shape because they didn't get that medal. I was a lucky one. They didn't get that medal for nothing. It cost them an eye or a leg or an arm or a couple legs. And so they need help and they need care, as do all our veterans. And so that's our primary mission, is to look out for our veterans. And the secondary mission is to take the message across America on the importance of courage, sacrifice, and patriotism for America's future and for their success and happiness, as a matter of fact.
That's amazing. I know you have stuff to do. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Is there anything else you want to add or mention or say?
No, just tell your people to come see this beautiful museum that these people have built here. I mean, this is incredible. They have some stuff here that's in no other museum in the world, and it's out here in the middle of nowhere. And they put on this dinner for veterans every single year, and guys like me, every year a Medal of Honor recipient will come out here in the middle of nowhere and is happy to do it because of people like Ann and then Garland and Lana and these people that do this thing for veterans. So happy to be a part of it. Got it?
Fantastic.
He and his brother, who was a Marine, Charles Kelly, anytime either one of them went off to war or anything, they would get together and they would drink a drink out of this bottle of bourbon that they had. And they had it for years. Well, Charles Kelly invited me, or Charles Kelly's brother, Mike, invited me to have a drink out of that same bottle one time. This after Charles Kelly was dead. He was killed in Vietnam. And he gave me this tie. Kelly's brother gave me this tie. It's my favorite tie.